Once upon a time, in a busy city, there was a wealthy family. The parents, Mr. and Mrs. Benjamin, were always working hard to make money and grow their business. They lived in a big house and had everything they could ever want, except time for their only child, a little boy named Joseph. Joseph was only 8 years old, but he often felt very lonely. His parents were never around to play with him or listen to his stories. Joseph's parents loved him, but they were so focused on work that they did not notice how sad he has become. Every morning they rushed off to their office, leaving Joseph with the house help. They had a routine of dropping him off at his grandmother's house whenever they had a long trip or a very busy work schedule. But Joseph tried going to his grandmother's place. His grandmother, Mrs. James, lived alone in a beautiful house at the edge of town. She was a tall, elegant woman with silver hair and always wore the finest clothes. She has been single for over 30 years after her husband passed away. Even though she seemed friendly and caring to everyone else, Joseph knew that there was something different about her, something that made him uncomfortable. Every time Joseph's parents told him he would be staying with grandma, Joseph, his heart sank. "But I don't want to go," he could tell them. "Can't I stay here with the house help?" But his parents would always say the same thing. "Your grandma loves you. You should be happy to stay with her. We'll be back before you know it." So off Joseph went, feeling helpless. At first, his grandmother welcomed him with open arms, cooking him nice meal and buying him toys. But as soon as the sun set and the house became quiet, her kind smile disappeared. She began treating Joseph differently, in ways that make him feel uneasy and scared. He don't know how to explain it, but something was very wrong. She could hold him too close, kiss him on the lips, and care his back, and sometimes do more things that make him want to cry. The boy didn't know how to tell his parents about it. Whenever they come to pick him up after the long trip, they were too tired to listen to him. "I don't like staying at grandma's house," he tried to say once, but they brushed him off. "Joseph, we're doing this for you. We're working so you can have a good life. Now be a good boy." Joseph knew his parents loved him, but they never had time to hear him out. The grandmother, on the other hand, always acted sweet and caring in front of them. "He's such a joy to have around," she could say, smiling brightly. Joseph hated those moments because no one could see what was really going on. At school, his teacher noticed that Joseph was not the cheerful boy he used to be. He became quiet, sad, and often sit alone during playtimes. His friend could ask him to join their games, but Joseph just don't feel like playing anymore. His heart felt heavy with a secret he don't understand. He knew what his grandma was doing was wrong, but he didn't know how to stop it. She always told him, "Don't tell anyone, Joseph. This is our little secret. If you tell, no one will believe you. They will think you're lying." And so, Joseph stayed silent. He thought maybe his parents were too busy to help him and he felt completely alone. The more time he spent at his grandma's house, the worse it got. The nights were the hardest. He would lie awake, hoping for the sun to rise quickly so that he would go back home. One day, after a particular long stay at his grandma, Joseph sat by the window of her house, looking out at the world. He watched other children playing outside and wished he could be them, carefree and happy. But instead, he felt trapped in the world where no one seems to care about his pain. Grandma James continued her life as thought everything was normal, always wearing her fancy clothes and acting like the perfect grandma in front of others. But when it was just her and Joseph, she was different. Joseph knew he needed to do something, but he didn't know what. At school, Joseph's behavior grew even more unusual. He could not just quit anymore. He looked tired all the time, as if he has not slept in days. His clothes were always neat and clean, but his eyes looked empty and his smile had disappeared. His teacher started to worry about him. One day, Mrs. Jack, his class teacher, asked him to stay after class. "Joseph, is everything okay?" she asked, her voice soft and kind. She kneeled down to his level, trying to meet his eyes, but Joseph could stay at the floor. He didn't know how to answer her. He felt ashamed, confused and scared. What if no one believed him? What if his parents got angry with him for saying something bad about his grandma? "I'm fine," Joseph murmured, barely loud enough to hear. Miss Jack was not convinced. She had seen this kind of sadness before in other children. She knew that something was wrong, but without Joseph saying anything, she could do much to help. She let him go, hoping he could open up later. But for now, Joseph remained silent. At home, his parents barely noticed the change in him. They were always in a rush, preparing for the next business trip or meeting. When Joseph tried to talk to them, they were too busy and too tired to listen. "Not now, Joseph," they could say. "We will talk later." But later never came. One night, while lying in bed at his grandma's house, Joseph could not take it anymore. He felt trapped, like he was in the cage. His chest felt tight and tears welled up in his eyes. He thought about running away, but where could he go? He had no one else to turn to. His parents were never there, and his grandmother made sure to keep their secret hidden. "Don't tell anyone, Joseph," she could say with a sweet but threatening smile. "No one will believe you. This is our little secret." Joseph hated those words. They make him feel so small, like he did not matter. He wished he could scream, but instead, he cried quietly into his pillow, hoping the morning could come soon.